Y'all, look, I was driving and I literally had to pull over because there is something that is important to say right now that I just cannot wait to say. So I'm going to take my glasses off because you know it's real. And I'm just going to get right into it. There is no, I didn't rehearse this. I did not, it's not going to be controlled. It may even be a little bit off color, might be a little bit confusing. It may be a little bit of all of those things, but there is a beautiful message in what I'm about to share. So I appreciate you right now for riding on this journey with me. I don't even know how long it's going to take, but I appreciate you for even checking this video out. Now I'm going to turn my air on because it's literally 97 degrees in the great city of St. Louis, Missouri. So just, we got to at least have the AC on. So look, important right now. Right now, it's important to know, and forgive me if my passion is causing me to speak very loudly, because right now there is something that is on my mind that I just must express. And so I might be loud, understand? I might be loud, and that's okay. But look, if I told you that life was meaningless, what would you say? Right? If I told you that God didn't have a purpose for your life, what would you say? Right? And the thing about it is some people may get offended by that because they don't really understand what I mean. They think that I may mean one thing. They're hearing one thing, but they're not listening to what I'm saying. And so if I tell you, listen, life is meaningless. Life is meaningless. What do I mean by that? I'm glad you asked, because I'm going to put you up on game. What I mean by life is meaningless is that there is no meaning to life except what you give it. And if you don't give life a meaning, there will be no meaning. It's not anybody else's fault that your life has no meaning. It's your responsibility. Now, being a student of the Bible, right? Being raised in the church, I know that there is a tendency to depend on a savior, right? In your mind, you're waiting on somebody to save you. And I have a news flash for you. You might not like it. You might need to sit down, and that's okay. I'll give you a couple seconds, 1, 2. But life has no meaning at all. Now, if you read the Bible, then you know that there is a scripture in the Bible that says that you have been given dominion. Now, not only over the birds and all of that, but you have been given dominion over your mind, right? And so what is mind, right? So when you think about the results that you're getting in your life, and you think about when you finally accept responsibility, you say, okay, well, my results, my fruit are coming from a certain root, right? So I have a certain thing that's, a certain thing that's happening in my life. I'm getting a certain result. So what that means is that because I have dominion, I have the power, I have the strength, I have the responsibility to change it at the root, not at the fruit. You know, it's like you wanting to be warm, but you're not willing to put fire on the heat, or you're not willing to put wood on the fire, right? How can I want to be warm if I'm not willing to go down and at least turn on the unit, right? I gotta at least be able to put some effort in. And so what pains me is when people expect other people to do stuff for them. And honestly, life has no meaning. It doesn't. God doesn't have a plan for your life. God gives you ideas because he gave you dominion. He gave you dominion over your own life. And this is not a religious talk. This is not about Muslim, Buddha, whatever. It's whatever your life, the reason that you're here, you decide. Nobody else is going to decide that for you. I can't decide why you're here, right? I can't decide that, you'll go out and do this, because one of the most powerful phrases in the world, and you've heard this and you know this, and that's why it's beautiful. One of the most powerful phrases in the world is I am. You know why that's powerful? Because I cannot say I am for you. Only you can say I am. So whatever you say I am to, you're right. You are. Not I am, you are, right? So if you say I am, I have to be careful, because I don't want to put something behind that I am, because I know already that it means me. So if you say that you are something, right, then why are you expecting somebody else to save you? Somebody else to come in and make it better? Somebody else to unfortunately, heaven is not a place. It's an experience. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of vibrating. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. Heaven is a mindset. You can live in heaven, or you can live in the alternative. But guess what? You give that meaning, right? You say what's good and what's bad. So it's your responsibility. And so the encouragement in this video, because here's the thing. Right now, there is a shift happening, and I'm okay with that. There is a shift that's happening that is causing things to spring and to blossom and to be to spread, widespread increase, right? And so for me, I know that I know my responsibility, right? I know that I've been running towards my purpose. And the beautiful thing is about, it's like there are guarantees that we get in life. Tomorrow may not be guaranteed, right? But there are certain things that by law, it's not a man-made law, but by natural law. Just like gravity is a fact, right? If I go over here to this building that you may not be able to see, let me see, that building, if I go over there and stand on that roof right up here, right up there, and I jump off that mug, guess what's going to happen? Gravity will show up every single time. It's a natural law. Gravity can't not show up. But what I'm beginning to learn is that when you plant a seed and you nurture that seed and you give that seed the attention and the love and the nutrients, everything it needs to be able to grow. When you plant that seed and you care for that seed, but then you say, you know what? I've done what I needed to do to make this seed grow. I've done what I needed to do to make it happen. The only other thing that I can do is forgive me for having gum, it's blues too, but whatever. The only thing left for me to do is to take my hands off of it and let nature continue the watering process. Let nature provide the rain. Let nature provide the sunlight, because I've done everything else that I was supposed to do. I planted the seed. I cared for it. I cared about the seed, right? And so the beautiful thing is that it's guaranteed that it'll grow. You don't have to worry about it. And that's the part is stressful, because we feel like if we give that worrying energy to whatever it is, like, oh man, you're checking on it, you're making sure, every day you're going outside looking at it, trying to see if it's growing or not. That energy is not needed, because it's going to grow regardless. That's like a natural law. If you take care of the seed, if you plant the seed, if you take care of it. And that's also one of the, like I said, going back to the example used in the Bible, the book of life. If you're not a religious person, you can refer to it, because there are so many stories in the Bible that just give you wisdom, practical living ideas. Any book that you read could have nuggets in it, right? But it just so happens that this living book has so much wisdom packed into it. And so we try to unfortunately, some people try to use the Bible to push an agenda, which is distracting, and it's just the way of the world. People, want to have a religion, and that's fine. I don't knock it. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, what I was saying, the point of it is that in this living thriving piece of wisdom, because that's how I look at it. It's full of wisdom, full of lessons, full of truth, right? So in that book, there is a promise that if you seek it, you will find it, right? If you seek, you shall find. Now, notice that there isn't a caveat. There isn't a, if you seek for 5 years, if you drive and go 100 miles north and you wearing a pink shirt in the summertime in St. Louis, August the 3rd at 5:10 p.m., if you do all of that, you will find exactly what you're looking for. There's no caveat. It says simply, quite simply, if you seek it, you will find it. It's guaranteed. Bam. Just like in the 90s, what was the commercial? If you build it, they will come. I don't know. Was that a Wendy's? I don't remember exactly. I don't know who said it. But anyway, if you build it, they will come. Ask and you shall receive. There is no ask blank 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 receive. It says if you ask, you will receive. Now, so the problem is, or the not the problem, and when I say problem, I don't mean issue. I mean the objective, the problem, the math problem, the objective, the equation, the components of making that receiving part come easily is knowing what you're asking for and making a decision to ask and knowing that you have the power and you deserve to ask. Like, that is one thing. When I unlearned the undeservingness, when I unlearned that, black people could only do it this way, or when I unlearned some of that stuff that I was taught about being gay and going to hell, and when I unlearned that there is no one thing that is exclusive to any certain group of people, when I unlearned that, when I unlearned that mentality, knowing that I have the power and the ability and the responsibility to create whatever it is that I desire, and it's mine. Nobody can take it. Nobody deserves that right to say, Tamika, yo, you cannot do that. You are not XYZ. So no, you cannot do that. You have to move over here, right? Nobody can say that. Who can say it? Who gonna check me, boo? You okay? You okay? You gonna check me? Nah. That reminds me, like, when my cousin, I probably was like, I might have been like 18, 19 or whatever, and I have a baby cousin. Of course, my cousin, I don't know how to do all that, first cousin, third cousin, whatever, blah blah blah, whatever. My direct cousin had a son, and I was hanging out with them, and he did something. I was like, man, I'm like 18, 19 years old. I was like, hey man, and he was like maybe 3. I could be getting the timeline wrong, but anyway, I was like, hey man, calm down, you gonna get a whooping. And he was like, who gonna whoop me? Like, and that's the thing. It's like, who gonna whoop you? Who gonna check you? Who gonna knock you off? You. That's the only person. Can't nobody else knock you off. Can't nobody else take you out of your purpose. Can't nobody else tell you your purpose. Can't nobody else. I'm over here like, can't nobody else. That sounds good. Can't nobody else. So I'm gonna keep going with that. But all I'm saying is that no one else has that right, and you have to take back that right. And if you are like me in this moment, you're taking back your right to define who you are. That's one of the most beautiful quotes by Audre Lorde. If I did not define myself for myself, I would be trapped into other people's definitions of me and eaten alive. I paraphrased it, but you understand. You have to define your life for yourself. You have to give your life purpose. You have to decide. You have to commit to planting the seed and doing what you need to do to water it, and you'll know that when you take your hands off, everything will grow like it's supposed to grow. And you'll be looking back like, man, look at this crop. All I did was plant a seed, right? All I did was plant one small seed, and I took care of that seed, and I protect. I got excited. That's a whole nother different thing. That's a whole nother different topic. Protect your seed. Don't let anybody else tell you that your seed is ugly, or it's not gonna grow, or it's not enough, or you don't know what you're doing. Look, protect your seed. It is your seed, and don't nobody have a right to tell you unless you give it to them. If you give them the right, they'll take it. Trust me. If you don't hear anything I say today, trust me, if you give somebody the right to name your seed, they will name your seed. I'm gonna have to get with the neck roll on you. If you give somebody the right to name your seed, they will absolutely name your seed without fail, at least twice a day, 3 times on Sunday, and tell you what your seed is not. Then guess what? You'll make the mistake of believing them, because you believe what other people say. Right? We believe what other people say. We believe what other people say more than we believe what we say. That's a whole, this video, look, that's a whole nother different topic. We have the ability to decide mentally if we're going to go off of our own experience or if we're going to go off of what somebody else is telling you. Now, I'm going to give you this straight right here, and then this video will I got to get some grub. But look, we have the ability to decide based on our own experiences. For so long being told that because I was a lesbian, I was going to hell. Because I was a lesbian, I was unclean. Because I was a lesbian, I was sick in the head. Because I was a lesbian, I was strange. I was weird. I was unlovable. Because I was a lesbian, right? Because I said the way that I choose to express myself, people told me that I was sick. People told me that I was damned. People told me that God wouldn't love me. And guess what? I believed it. I believed it. I let other people name my seed, right? I didn't go off of my own experience. I've had that's gonna sound terrible. I've had a lot of great girlfriends. Let me just put it that way. I've had a lot of great relationships, and that makes me sound like I'm a player. Like, I've had like 35 girlfriends. No, it hasn't been that many, but I've had a lot of great relationships, right? I've had a lot of great women to come in my life, and we grow and we get to the point of where, our purposes are served in that relationship, and then we move on, right? I've had the opportunity to be with some beautiful women, like straight up, like just women that's just like, man, like, it's incredible. Right? I'm not saying that to brag, kind of, but whatever. But I was letting, the point of the matter is I was letting other people define my experience and say, you're nasty. And I believed them. And it wasn't until I said, well, maybe they're wrong. What if I'm not going to hell? Because doesn't that same Bible that you're using to tell me that I'm going to hell tell me that you don't have a heaven or hell to put me in? What if you're wrong? Right. What if I start using my own experience to define the definition of what it is? Right? What if I start defining myself for myself and not letting other people's opinions of what my experience should be? You know what I mean? Like, just think about it. Like, if your friend tell you, oh, you got to check out this restaurant, that it was great, delicious. You go to that restaurant with a certain expectation. And if your friend hyped it up enough, most likely it'll meet up to their expectations because you were told how to experience something. And so, because being told as a queer person that you are damned and believing that, do you know how much weight was lifted off of me when I said, what if they wrong? Like, straight up, like, here's the question. How do you know? How do you know I'm going to hell? How do you know that God doesn't love me? How do you know? Right? But anyway, that's a whole different subject for a whole different day. All I'm saying is when you allow other people to name your seed, they will do it for you, and you'll find yourself believing them before you even believe your own experience of taking care of the seed, of nurturing the seed, of knowing the ins and outs and knowing what that seed needs and knowing what that seed likes. You're saying this person is like, your seed ugly, bro. Your seed never gonna grow. And you like, yeah, you right. I don't believe it. You know what I mean? So, look, at the end of the day, you have the power. At the beginning of the day, you have the responsibility to define your own seed and to create your own purpose, because life is meaningless unless you give it meaning. And I'm about to go get me something to eat because, yeah, I pulled over to share this message, and I hope that it helped you, because it helped me. And, I don't want to be out here being helped alone. So, welcome.